So today's topic is how the reasons we give ourselves for success and failure might influence our motivation in the long run. Let's say that we're looking at Stephanie here. Stephanie's got a BMI of 29, so she's right on the borderline between overweight and obese. She says that she's overweight because there's just so much tempting food out there. She just doesn't have the time to be able to exercise. She doesn't even know how to start exercising. Now, these reasons that we give might influence the way that we act in the long run. We're going to take a little while to explore Stephanie's reasons and see whether they're the sorts of things that will help motivate her to solve the problem, lose some weight, get stuck into a diet or a good exercise routine. And I want you to have a little think about your reasons as well to see whether they're helping you approach the problem and fix it in the long run. So because we're talking about health and exercise, most of the time what we're trying to do is prevent illness and try to promote a type of coping that would be helpful in the long run. As a result, most of the attributions that we're thinking about are around the causes of things like illnesses and problems that people are trying to fix. Attributions are defined as a post hoc interpretation or redefinition of what caused the illness. This means it's basically an explanation for the illness. Why did you get heart disease? Why did you have a heart attack? Why did you get skin cancer? Why are you overweight? These reasons that we give for the problems that we're encountering are called attributions. The logic behind attribution theory is that some reasons are in your control, some reasons are out of your control. And if you attribute a problem to being something that you can fix, something that's within your, what we call locus of control, something that's within your domain, then you might be more likely to be able to fix it in the future. If, on the other hand, you blame it on something that's totally outside of your control, like your genes, then perhaps that's something that you won't be able to fix, so you don't do anything about it. Now, some types of attributions might be more motivating and some might be less motivating. And today, we're going to try to identify which of those is the case. If we look at Stephanie's attributions, she said that there's so much tempting food out there. And that's what we call an external attribution. She's not saying it's her fault that she's overweight. She's saying that it's because there's all of this stuff going on outside of her. It's society's fault. It's that there's food everywhere. When she talks about uni making it difficult to make time to go to the gym, again, she's not necessarily saying that she didn't schedule anything. She's saying that, well, it's uni's fault. My schedule's too hard. There's nothing I can really do to fix that. So Stephanie's first attribution here sounds like it's something that's sort of external. Let's think about another client. This one says, I'm overweight because I don't know how to start exercising. All of a sudden, this is a little bit different to someone who's saying that there's just so much tempting food out there. When I say I don't know how to start exercising, it puts it in my control. It makes it something that I can fix, and it makes it maybe something that I might be more motivated to do something about. If I didn't go to the gym because I didn't schedule it in, then I'm blaming it on myself. It's not like it's university that's stopping me. It's not my schedule's too busy. It's sort of a more internal and, again, kind of controllable attribution, something that I can make a difference to, okay? And the idea behind attribution theory is that these reasons that we give might make us feel differently about the illness and our progress going forward. So one of the measures that we look for is something called psychological adjustment. Is how well does someone cope after they've got this illness, or how well does someone cope with obesity, as an example, okay? And when we talk about psychological adjustment, one of the key things that we look for is things like distress, stress, conflict, depression, all of these sorts of things that lead to low kind of psychological adjustment. It's a little bit like well-being that we discussed earlier on in week 1. Again, things like abnormal social life are often associated with poor adjustment. Things like low self-esteem, low well-being, and low positive affect, which means not feeling particularly good, no positive emotions, okay? And the question is, what sort of attributions lead to good psychological adjustment? Is it better for someone like Stephanie to blame all of the tempting food that's out there, or is it better for her to blame herself? Attribution theory goes beyond just looking at whether something's internal, as in something that happens inside your skin, or external, as in something that's sort of about society or something outside of your skin. And it breaks it down into some other functions as well, some other ways in which attributions can be classified that might help us identify what's a good attribution or a bad attribution. And the main other things that it looks for is its stability. Is the attribution something that's stable, or is it something that just changes over time? So a stable attribution, like your genetics, isn't something that's likely to change anytime soon. Whereas your mood is something that is likely to change. Now, both of those happen inside your skin, both of them are internal, but the stability of genetics might make it feel a little bit different about your ability to change than if it's something like your mood or your emotions, which might go up and down. If you say, for example, I have heart disease because it's genetic, that might be something that is stable. And it might make it less likely that you're going to change, potentially. If, on the other hand, I'm having heart disease or I'm having a heart problem right now because I haven't been taking my medication, that could be something that's unstable. That can change on a day-to-day basis. One day I could take my statins, the other day I could not. Very unstable attribution. On the other hand, a stable attribution like my genes might lead me to feel differently about my illness and differently about my prognosis. Some things that are unstable are within your control and some are outside of your control. The stock market is unstable. It changes every single day and you never really know what's going to happen. That's totally out of your control. Whereas taking a medication is something that's in your control. You choose to take it, you choose to not take it. And it's still unstable. Both of those are unstable attributions. But one's in your control and one's outside of your control. Similarly, you can have a stable attribution that's in your control and another one that's outside of your control. Something like your weight could be perceived as a stable attribution. It doesn't change on a day-to-day basis, but it is something that generally you can change over time. Whereas your genes, most people agree, apart from some epigenetic arguments, which I'm not going to go into here, you can't really easily change your genetics quickly. So that would be considered stable and outside of your control. Now, so you can see attributions can be classified in all these different ways. They can be internal or external, inside your skin or outside your skin. They can be something that changes, or they can be something that's fairly stable over time. And they can also be something that's inside your control that you can change, or outside of your control that you can't change. So to get a good understanding of these attributions, I want you to practice classifying some of the attributions below as internal or external, stable or unstable, and controllable or uncontrollable. And then we're going to move on to try to identify how should people be trying to think about their illness. Which of these attributions is going to be motivating and unmotivating? Which is going to lead to good psychological well-being, and which of them is going to lead to poor psychological adjustment?